Government says progress is being made in the implementation of human rights, and obviously you can't compare South Africa now and South Africa 30 years ago. Do you think, though, we're still making progress in improving the implementation of human rights? I mean, do you think we've made any progress in, say, the last 5 years, for example?
Look, good afternoon, Stephen, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, indeed, as the President's speech highlights as well, South Africa of today is completely different to South Africa of 1994. And particularly the past 5 years that you are talking about, I mean, it may not be significant strides that are being made, but building a culture of human rights certainly will take a long period of time. The President did mention the fact that there was 342 years of colonialism and apartheid. But of course, that's not an excuse to say in 30 years a lot could not have been done. Much has been done and a lot still remains to be done. And we can still say that even the current in terms of contribution to that consolidation and the deepening of the culture of human rights.
What do we still then do to deepen that culture? And I think in a way you could say, I think we could probably say there's been uneven progress. So there's been strong progress, for example, in political freedom, in the right to freedom of expression. I think most people can say what they want to say in most parts of the country. Not everywhere. There might still be violence in some places. Other rights, maybe we haven't made as much progress. How do we continue this work?
You're correct, Stephen, in terms of the uneven progress that has been made, and particularly the point you are making that insofar as civil and political rights, there might have been a lot of progress, but still challenges in terms of the socio-economic rights. Right now, this afternoon, the conference is debating Section 2025, the right to own property, which then relates to land restitution and security of tenure. But tomorrow, then, out of that realization, we have dedicated the entire day of the conference to focus on the progressive realization of the socio-economic rights. And in order to do that, we have asked the Statistician General to come in and set the scene scientifically and in terms of statistics, looking at a period prior to 1994, but look at 1994 to now, and say in terms of socio-economic right, your right to education, your right to health, water and sanitation and access to housing, those socio-economic rights, look at the progress that has been made and deal with the real challenges and the failures that might have been there over the past 3 decades in order to at least chart a way forward in those areas to push them to a point where you can say there's evenness. But the reality, Stephen, is that with socio-economic rights, they are resource availability dependent. That's why part of the discussion tomorrow morning, before we focus on the specific socio-economic rights, will be the discussion on the state of the transformation of the economy, whether there has been much progress in transforming the economy to make sure that it is inclusive, but also to make sure that you have a strong, growing and resilient economy so that you can find the resources to fund and deal with the challenge of underdevelopment, unemployment and poverty.
There's a lot to it, and if you're going to discuss Clause 25, Section 25 of the Constitution, you may be talking late into the night, in my experience, Mr. Mashabane. It's a very contentious issue. I do want to talk about something else, though, and this gets to the point that you're making about socio-economic rights. So, for example, I think it's not explicit, but I think South Africans have the right to feel safe, and I don't think South Africans feel safe because crime and violent crime has been so bad over the last 4 years. And that gets to the weakness of the state. And I think most people would concede that the state has really become weaker over the last few years. I mean, there's a relationship there, isn't there? If you've got a strong state, it should be easier to keep the streets safe for people to walk down them.
Fully agreed, Stephen, but we all know, and both the political leadership, particularly the President, has raised this matter generally, that we know that the state's capacity over the past years was hollowed out, and the focus of the sixth administration really has been on the rebuilding of the state capacity, particularly even in the justice, crime prevention and security sector. We all know that there's been a challenges of capacity, and there's been that commitment from the administration to build that capacity in order to deal with the question of high levels of crime in this country. And indeed, many South Africans feel unsafe, and that's the commitment from the NDP, that we must build a South Africa that South Africans can feel safe and secure in their homes. And insecurity and the crime constitute an affront to our political constitutional order, but generally even to the enjoyment of human rights. You need safety and security as well as a sine qua non in order to enjoy the human rights that we are talking about.
One of the things you need to enjoy human rights is a judiciary whose decisions are respected. Even if you disagree with them, they have to have legitimacy. Do you worry that, all of the criticism we see of the judiciary, in particular politicians who sort of hit out at the judiciary all the time, without judges, it's very difficult to sort of protect human rights. Do you think that we might start to be developing a problem?
Not necessarily. I mean, you do have those pockets of individuals who I'm not convinced that they themselves are convinced in their views that they have the unnecessary and unfounded criticisms and accusations of the judiciary. I think we remain with one of the strongest, robust and resilient judiciary, as the Chief Justice himself confirmed that they continue to enjoy independence. As for the other related matters, resources, which is a challenge for all the branches of the state, it's a matter that he agreed that they will have a discussion with the President as well as the Speaker to look at further strengthening the independence of the judiciary. My take is, if you listen to the speech of Dr. Ramaphosa, who came up strongly in defense of the judiciary and made a point that all these criticisms of the judiciary are unfounded and people must stop criticizing and with a view to weaken our judiciary. If you look at our experience, the judiciary over the past 3 decades has been really a vanguard of the Constitution and as well as the human rights. That's why part of the discussion as well will look at the role that the judiciary has played over the past 30 years in building the culture of human rights. So I wouldn't be worried. To be honest, I don't think we have reached some points that we should be concerned. I think South Africans of goodwill must just continue to stand up and robustly defend our judiciary.
Mr. Mashabane, thanks very much indeed. Advocate Dr. Mashabane is the Director General of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Important conversations there. That's underway in Boksburg for the next couple of days.